You're listening to the Southampton Dellivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
If you want to have guarantees, you have to buy a washing machine.
Fonte with a scooping header.
We don't lose a match, either we win or we learn. And today we learned.
Подача, Остин! Все-таки забил!
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Bella. Onside, 1-0! Buffon shot! Oh my word!
Unbelievable. He ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It was very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Dellivery Podcast, a podcast and newsletter dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans, and available right here on SouthamptonDellivery.com. My name is Matt Markstone. I am the host of the show. No matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, whether this is your first time or you've been here before, thanks for making the show part of your day. I hope you enjoy it. And it would be difficult to enjoy it less than the last two matches Saints played. Obviously, the 9-0 loss to Manchester United, not anything we really want to relive in any great detail. Also, though, you kind of understand it. Like, Ralph didn't have a whole lot of choices in terms of what he was going to do. It was always going to be difficult. And then going down to 10 men almost immediately and 9 men at some point with a dog barking in the background, it's not all that great. But Tom Deacon joins the show this week, and we talk about the 9-0 because it happened on his birthday. And I should say the Manchester United 9-0, because now there's two of them. So at least the commentators will have to, specify when they talk about them forever. So Tom Deacon and I will deconstruct that as well. We make a lot of jokes about a lot of other things. And maybe if you have little kids, like maybe take some caution. It's not terrible, but it's not like pub chat. It's more like teenagers walking down the street. That's what I would say it's like. It's not that I think that's fair enough. And basically because I'm a child. But Tom is great as normal. If you don't already follow Tom Deacon, you can. The links to both his Twitter and Instagram are in the show notes. He's fantastic. Normally presents for Saints on a match day. Obviously there's no match day, so there's no fans in the stadium, so he's not doing that, but he's on the YouTube channel doing lots of other stuff. So you can follow him. And if you enjoy cooking at all, you can do the cook-alongs with Steve and Tom on a Friday. It's something to do, and they'll make you laugh, like I said. So anyway, Tom Deacon joins me. We'll talk Manchester United. We will talk about Newcastle United, which might have actually hurt worse than the Manchester United loss in a weird way. And we'll be honest, there's not a lot of positives to talk about with the team. So we try to keep the mood light. We make a lot of boat jokes. I don't really know where that came from, but it is what it is. And I enjoyed making the show. I enjoyed editing the show. And I'm enjoying this part of it now because I'm thinking about all the things that made me laugh. If you don't laugh, it's my fault, not Tom's. So take it out on me at SFCDELL_IVERY on Twitter and Instagram. Direct abuse my way because it's my fault. All right. But enough of this. Enjoy the show. We'll talk to you on the other side. And once again, thanks for listening. We'd like to welcome back to the Southampton Dellivery Podcast, Tom Deacon. Tom, hell of a birthday week for you. How are you?
Wow. Yes, thank you very much for reminding me that it was a glorious birthday celebrated in lockdown and then had to endure that Man United game and now today the Newcastle game. And hey, do you know what? It's like, life can throw whatever it wants at me in the last year and for everyone. And as a Saints fan, it's painful. It's hard. But you know what? We keep marching on. That's the slogan. We keep marching on. That's how I feel. But you know what? It's nice to see your smiley face across the pond, and it is always a pleasure to be on, Matt, to chat about the Saints.
I washed the sleep out of my eyes, and then I washed the tears off my face, and now we're going to sit here and record. We're recording just about an hour after the final whistle, where Saints failed to beat 9-man Newcastle. We're going to mention that number probably quite a bit today, but I mean, given your birthday is in February, we went into lockdown, about a year ago. Were you kind of looking and going like, maybe I'll be out of it by then? Did you think you would have a lockdown birthday?
Well, you know what? Last season, I went on an away trip up to St. James's Park, and I was kind of like, hey, by this time round, when the fixtures came out, I was like, hey, maybe that could happen again. Newcastle, brilliant place to go out, good people, the drinks do flow. it was an amazing experience, although we lost a game that day. But it was great to see Danny Ings slide across on his knees at St James, because you're so high up in at St James's Park. But I was hoping, yes, and I thought, like many people did, this was only going to be a 2-month, 3-month thing at most. But it's dragging on, isn't it? It's dragging on. Like the times that the pundits need to have mentioned that we lost 9-0 to Leicester. We've got another year of that at least now, haven't we?
Well, I think the good news is now they're going to have to specify which 9-0 they're talking about. Like, I think it'll force them to do a little bit of research.
And
Steve McManaman, listen, guys, which game are we talking about? Are we talking about the 9-0 Leicester, or is it the 9-0 against Man United? I'm lost.
Oh, Steve McManaman, jog on. I've got no time for him. Worst pundit.
Oh, that also sounded like exactly like one of the Liverpool fan TV channels.
Oh, man. And the fact he didn't know that Ralph Hasenhüttl was Austrian rather than German. But yeah, absolutely fine. I feel like I've got to the point where I watch football on mute. I play my own music. That's what we should do. We should put a playlist together for every Saints game now and just have that. It's much easier to watch rather than the fake fan noise and everything else.
I think it just have to be like Coolio's Gangster's Paradise at this point, because we're just walking through the valley of the shadow of death over and over and over.
What's a good reference? Oh, and also, I feel like as Saints fans, it feels like one massive episode of Sesame Street, where the number for this week is 9, and it's never going to stop being 9. Newcastle were down to 9 men, okay, and also 9 is the amount of goals that you've let in how many times? Twice.
My goodness, this is going well. This is going well. This is better than the start to the United game, I guess.
So at least neither of us has been sent off for a reckless challenge, trying to prove ourselves. It's been a bizarre week. Thank you very much for asking. I am well. That is how we deal with this.
Yeah.
You say, I am well, whether you are crying inside or not. You say, I'm doing well. And apparently, perception is projection. So whatever you perceive in the world, you project it, and then that will happen. I think that's how the saying goes. I am good.
I like it. I like it. Well, this show is going to go well. I'm just going to say that now. The show is going to go well. And here we go. We're going to start, as you might have guessed, with the 9-0 loss. We also had 9 men on the pitch for a period of time. So we'll just bring that number up again. But I kind of working through it in the newsletter last week. I kind of wrote out, like, you can see, you can understand this one a little bit more than the Leicester City one, because the choices we had for people on the bench and in the starting lineup, it's already a weakened team. Yankovic does his best to assert himself in the game, gets himself sent off. So we're already down to 10 with basically 90 minutes to play. United are actually quite good. We created a couple of chances, not a lot. Then Mike Dean and VAR get involved again, and we're down to I think if we score that goal, if Adams' goal stands, and then Bednarek doesn't get sent off, I don't think the 9-0 happens. And so at the end of the day, I can kind of understand that. And actually, the thing that made me the most upset was the racist abuse that Jankovic got after the match on Instagram and things like that, which I found to be that angered me more than anything, because I did not deal with the 9-0 very well. Well, maybe I did. I didn't. I guess, how many did you have to drink after? Did you have any drinks? It was Tuesday night. It's hard for me to.
Yeah, I because it was my birthday. I'm about to start some work in April called for celebrity esports. So it's where celebs are joining the general public and they're competing online once a month, 7 games, titles as it were. Good fun. And the people who run that company, Celebrity Esports, sent me a bottle of whiskey. So I had a couple of those, merely just to try it. But the more goals that went in, it was kind of like, how many can I have? But we were okay. And the only thing that really came off the back of that 9-0, apart from pride being hurt, was just having an argument with my girlfriend for no good reason. She made out the point, I have got nothing to do with this 9-0. You shouldn't be taking it out on me. And I wasn't. I was just grumpy. I was broken and miserable. So a couple of drinks and just not knowing how to quite deal with it. It's like a pride. It's embarrassing. How do I deal with this? It was bad enough with Leicester. And then at the same time, like you quite rightly say, Matt, is when you had that, his performance rhymes with Yank. And it was just ill-advised. It was a sending off. But racism is abhorrent. There's no place for it. Yes, he made a mistake. He's a young guy. Yes, you can say, well, he shouldn't be putting in a transfer market. But The colour of his skin has nothing to do with that. Yes, he's an idiot for making that choice in that challenge, but that's it. So it's kind of like a mixture of you're disgusted with some of your fellow Saints fans, you're disgusted with the performance, you can't stand Mike Dean, you're contemplating whether someone posts some crap through his door, whatever. VAR can do one. You just don't know where to stand. That's how I felt at the end.
Yeah. Well, and Mike Dean and Lee Mason doing their best to make sure that people hate bald white men even more so. Which, sitting here, you can see me. People listening to this show can't, but I can't grow a full head of hair. And that brings to mind Danny Ings' hair today. It is getting thin. It's almost as thin as our squad. But
oh wow, I love that. It is thin hair, and I think it's going to get thinner the longer we have to wait for another Danny Ings goal. The post denied him. He looked frustrated. Some people said on Twitter, as I always check out afterwards, that he didn't look like he was in that game. I just feel like he was frustrated. That's Danny Ings. He's frustrated, but he keeps on running, etc. But he's running out of time. And it's great to see, in some respects, the Saints players not being able to have a haircut and dealing with.
Bednarek looks especially scruffy.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he has got too much hair on his head, and that's what's weighing him down. What a week it's been for him, a hellish week for Bednarek. And I'm not sure, did they give the goal another own goal for him? Because if they did, that means that he scored more goals in the last 3 days than Havertz at Chelsea has done all season.
Initially, they did give it an own goal, and then they changed it, which I can't believe they gave Almiron 2 goals because that ball was not on target, I don't think. But they did give it to him. So it's not an own goal, but still had the 1 plus the red card that was rescinded. Not been a great week for him. And, one thing about Jan Bednarek, and I will eventually actually talk about football, I promise. But you, for your birthday, I think you got an AeroPress, right? You've joined the elite hipster coffee revolution, which I'm a big fan of. And Bednarek actually makes some pretty hipster coffee. If you follow him he posts a lot of it on his Instagram. So how are you finding the AeroPress?
Well, he's not allowed it anymore. That should be banned until you start playing better defensively. That should be banned. It's like a punishment. You're on the naughty step, and you need to get rid of your pouring over press. I really want to, on the subject of coffee, get a little scales to weigh it, right? My girlfriend has said, no, you are not El Chapo. You know what I mean? You're going to look like a coffee dealer. Stop it. Grow up. Have instant like everyone else. But I did get an AeroPress. I'm glad that I joined the elite of Bednarek. It is good fun if anyone listening. You get into it. It's just something to do in lockdown. But he should be banned from that until we start playing better.
I will send you a link to a YouTube channel for James Hoffman. I don't know if you know who he is. World Barista Champion, I believe, 2007. English dude, great YouTube channel. Lots of tips and tricks on how to use coffee stuff the proper way. And then also just absolutely ridiculous, like 25-minute review of a grinder, which you didn't know you needed, but somehow you watched the whole thing. So
the only thing is, when I posted a picture on my Instagram of my new AeroPress, it does, when it's extended, it does look like some sort of equipment to make yourself bigger.
That was in Austin Powers, right? Like you needed that.
Yeah, it's a pump of some description.
Yeah.
And so I kind of soon realized that and was going to post it, and I'm just getting ridiculed for that. So if it's not the football, it's my coffee pump.
Yeah, it's got to pump you up in the morning or the evening or whenever you want.
Yeah, it gives you that.
Yeah, but I guess let's move on to talk a little bit about Newcastle. I know you do have work in the morning, right? You're actually going back to work a little bit, hosting some esports. Is it F1? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's obviously before anyone who knows the work I've done at Southampton Football Club, matchday hosting. That came to an end when the fans weren't allowed in the stadium. They're going to go in a new direction. What they do now is they'll do the pre-match and post-match show with Kenji and Steve Ford. Great, and it's brilliant stuff. So I've always had the esports on the side. That's kind of, I guess, what my presenting's led me to, from doing the Eurofan, Copa 90, following football. It was brilliant to work with the Saints because I love them. So now really heavily looking at F1 esports, and they do something called the Virtual Grand Prix, which happened in the first lockdown. They get celebrities and sports people to compete, whereas now there's going to be 3 events. tomorrow, on Sunday, the 7th of February, they're going to have the second one, and all the money goes to charity. So it's very cool, good fun, and hey, it's only taken a pandemic to get me presenting on Sky Sports. So well done me.
There you go. I don't know. My son, a lot of my students like to watch people play video games. I don't quite understand it, but I know F1's a big deal. So I don't know.
Well, it's just the fact that when there's no motorsport on, it's something competitive to watch, and it's some of the F1 drivers as well, particularly George Russell, who's one of the Williams drivers. It's just fun. It passes the time. Is it supposed to be taken as seriously as the real life motorsport? Maybe not, but some people really do enjoy it. There's always action, and anyone can win it, unlike the actual F1. So I suppose it does make it quite exciting. Hey, listen, sometimes when you're a Saints fan, it's brilliant to watch Saints, and other times it's not. So if you're that person, watch the F1 esports. Okay,
all right. And people can get it on Sky Sports? Well, the show will already have happened by the time people hear this, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no, not at all. It's everywhere. It's worldwide, actually.
Okay.
People around the world enjoy it, and it is a pleasure, and it's a real honor to be able to host it. And hey, it's keeping me from the bailiffs at my door right now in this pandemic, because when I'm not presenting, I'm doing stand-up comedy, and that's kind of stopped unless people want to watch it on Zoom. So, hey, I'm positive. What was it? Perception is projection.
Yeah, that's right.
Very positive.
This is going well. It's going well. Well, and I got up this morning just before 6 a.m. my time. Lineup comes out, and pretty based on Ralph's press conference, not surprised, pretty happy with how things looked. But what did you make of the lineup with Minamino getting a start? Redmond on the other side of him, Armstrong obviously out through injury, but Vestergaard back, Romeu back, Stevens at right back. What were your thoughts? And then what were your thoughts on the lineup as it came out?
I like it. I like there's two things. First of all, I looked at it and I said McCarthy, because of the way that Southampton treated Angus Gunn after the last 9-0. McCarthy's confidence is going to be shot. So I was a bit like, oh, okay, Fraser Forster's played 2 games, got a clean sheet against Liverpool and Shrewsbury. So that's interesting that they're not playing him, but Ralph's given him the confidence. He's basically said, listen, guys, I trust you. Go out there. Ramsey got taken out, and Stevens gets put in at right back. And I think I was a bit worried about, the Saint on the Newcastle side and how he was going to mark him. And after the first goal, you're like, oh, that's what I was worried would possibly happen. But in general, Minamino, hey, it worked out very well with him at Leipzig under Ralph. So I had all confidence, and he had a good game today. But when we're looking at that lineup, I thought, hey, this should be okay. We might be able to get a result here.
Yeah, like you said, the one worry is Stevens against, I just have in my notes ASM, which probably sounds like something like you would need a pump for. But like, it's, I was worried about that aspect of it. And true enough, it did bear fruit, I guess, as we saw. But yeah, I don't think I was overly, I wasn't critical of the lineup. I thought it was going to be okay. I did see somebody post a meme on Instagram, I think, where it had Alex McCarthy, and then like 9 minutes passed, and somebody said like, oh, look, it's 9 past McCarthy. And I'm an adult, but I thought it was hilarious. But judging by our conversation so far, maybe I'm not actually an adult, but I guess the start of the game, the rain was coming down. It's probably a good thing you weren't actually there, because the rain looked like it was miserable. But I mean, we I guess it was started kind of even, but we kind of gave up a goal relatively quickly, and it wasn't, I don't know, that much of a surprise. Stevens gets a little bit forward. St. Maximum gets down the left-hand side, and behind him, Bednarek has to come over to cover. He gets by Bednarek because he's quite good and fast. Vestergaard has to slide over to pick up the run. Bertrand does the same, and Joe Willock is kind of just found in acres of space, and all of a sudden we're down 1-0. And I think all of us kind of probably went like, oh no, here we go again, right? Like, how did is that kind of how you felt as well?
I left the room. That's what I did. I'm very responsible. I left the room. I was kind of thinking, Jack Stevens, you're taking a throw in. Okay, I'm good with this. It got to Redmond. Redmond, I think, dispossessed, tackled. Shelby passed it back. The Newcastle defender just booted it long because they saw the overlap was there. And if that's, whose fault is that? It's just one of those forced, errors of mistakes where you're like, that's really annoying. That's cost us. We're now already confidence was shattered. Yes, you can say we were up for it, pretty even up until that point. The weather doesn't help, but you've put more weight on us. You know what I mean? Like as a team, there's more weight. We've got to get out of this situation. It was just an unforced error, and it's just, it was annoying. I left the room, went and got another coffee, oddly enough, went back and went, all right, 1-0. Okay.
Yeah.
We're still going to win this 2-1. That's what I thought.
That's the equivalent of you walking back to the center circle clapping, like still 0-0, lads. Like, keep it tight. We got this.
And I still was feeling the effects. I don't know if this is kind of like the vaccine as well, where you get sore arm. But from the 9-0 against United, I was kind of thinking, is there anything like Men in Black where they can just erase your memory? So I think I was getting a jar back into it. I was like, wait a minute, hang on a minute. Did someone erase my... And it's that feeling again. I was like, 1-0, please don't let your heads drop. And we didn't mention the fact that Vestergaard was back in, and he's been a rock all season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who Salisu is. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, because no commentator or pundit has had to say his name because he's never been anywhere near that lineup. Does he exist? I mean, what? Yeah, Vestergaard, I believe in. I'm sort of like, yes, he's not got the pace, but he's just so strong and can actually, some of the times when he crossed the ball later on in the game, I was like, what? Finally, someone can cross that ball in. But yeah, it was an annoying goal to let in, because it wasn't as if Newcastle made it. We gave it to them.
Yeah.
From the overlap.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they do it again not long after that, right? With Almiron gets in down the same right side, or down our left side, I guess. No, our right side, their left side. But they continue to. I mean, it was clearly singling out Stevens there, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily critical that it was Stevens in that role. That's just something we have to be aware of. He doesn't offer quite, anything near what Kyle Walker-Peters would offer going forward, but he's a decent defender. He's done his job when Vestergaard was injured. And to have him play at right back is usually, you would think of it as being kind of a safer option, but it seemed like every time he got caught anywhere up the pitch at all, it was just open season down that side, and they took advantage of it. This didn't go down as a Bednarek own goal, but it probably should have. I'm happy for him that it didn't. But all of a sudden it's 2-0, and again, I'm kind of like, the Patreon Discord channel is kind of going, and it's like this is not going well, But then the new loan signing kind of brings us some hope back. I don't know if you want to break down the second goal or not from them, or if you just want to move on to how good Minamino was today.
Well, obviously, I want to go straight to Minamino. The Almond, as I call him, Almiron. He's just taken an opportune moments where you just have a go, threaten, get the ball, just take a shot. Anything can happen, and it did. It ricochets off Bednarek and goes in. I was just at that point, I was disappointed. I was a bit like, oh, this is a monumental task now, and the weather just hammering it down. I think that centre circle, people compared it to the trenches in the First World War. It was horrendous, which is awful. But it's no man's land. The ball's stuck in the middle. So even when people were saying we're playing too narrow, we had to spread it out wide because you couldn't run through the middle. The ball would get stuck. In there. I don't think it needs dwelling on. It was just our heads were down. Every time we push forward, get hit on a counter attack, and I think the problem with Jack Stevens in right back is he just doesn't have that pace to track back. And when you look at Bertrand makes that just a charge. Uh-huh. He's the sort of person who's able to get back, unlike Stevens. And so when Bertie made that breakthrough and put the ball to Minamino, it looked like it was a bit of a bad touch at first for Minamino, but it actually it separated him from the defender. Mm-hmm. And what a finish. I mean, someone's going to have to stitch that net back a little bit tomorrow. It was good. And I think that's what we've missed at times, is that someone who threatens inside the box. I really like Che Adams. I like the effort he puts in, but he doesn't get the goals. Shane Long is no longer at Southampton. He's on loan at Bournemouth because he just doesn't get the goals. Mm-hmm. Minamino only scored 1 goal for Liverpool, but I tell you what a start, what a finish. That's clinical. We just need to get the ball to a person or a player like Minamino who can actually get us the goal.
You need somebody who can make a play, right? Like, just like you have playmakers in any sport, and he's kind of hopefully one of those guys that'll be able to help us along that route. But I thought the movement from him, he made a pretty good run for Redmond. Redmond just kind of overhit the pass, not far before that, or not long before that, I think. And I think just the movement of the front four itself, because when you play Newcastle, they tend to sit back quite deep anyway. And so it was going to force us to create chances, not on the break, which is how they hit us. But, we would prefer for them to try to play it into Shelby's feet and then us to be able to press them and do all that stuff. And we just weren't, they don't play that way. So the movement from the front four, I thought today was better. And that's something that we could probably just at least consider a little more positive until they decided to park all 9 of their men behind the ball, right? Because that's all they had. And then I don't think the weather helped. I think the ball either sticking or skipping off the pitch, like it wasn't great. But I was pretty happy with Minamino's movement. And as you said, the touch looked like it was a little strong, but then I was just glad he didn't fall over. I thought for sure he was going to, it looked like he stumbled and then he just absolutely rifled it into the net. And I thought it was, okay, like here we go. We're okay.
Yeah.
And
but it's like Che Adams gets the ball in that position. You're like, I don't know. If you were to pause and say to any Saints fan, all right, for every striker that we have or attacking a player, Redmond's got the ball in that situation. Yeah. We paused it. Does he score or does it not go in? You could do that. I think with Ings, you would feel like, yeah, he's more likely to score. And Minamino, on that one attempt he's had, he scores. It's just some certain players in the team, you just don't feel confident they're going to score in those positions. So if Minamino, on a performance like he has today, can get himself into that sort of space, even Walcott at certain points this season, you'd be like, I don't know if he's going to score from here. Maybe we found a clinical finisher if allowed those opportunities.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. But I don't know. And then as much as I thought, we didn't. I don't think we played terribly after that up until the last goal. But then, or the last goal,
it was basic individual errors. That was all it was, Matt. It's just individual errors at the worst possible moments. Which I know we're going to get to that third goal, because at that point I was like, am I going to come back for the second half? Am I going to come back? Am I going to make another cup of coffee? But I was like, it's just individual errors, and that's what we have to do as Southampton. Like, Newcastle set up in an old school style. That's what Bruce does. And sometimes those teams that set up in that old school formation and tactic, for some reason Ralph doesn't know quite how to break those teams down. And I'd even write a little note down here that said, even down to 9 men, I don't know whether we would have scored another goal. If you played it for another 90 minutes, would we eventually have scored? And I just don't know with our style whether it works. We're not a free-flowing scoring team. We just aren't built that way.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really create that many clear chances that late on in the game, and as much as I will complain about our injuries and things like that, and as much as it's not even an excuse, because you could have looked at our squad at the beginning of the season and said, like, that's probably not enough there. Yeah, we're playing with fire, judging on how condensed the schedule is going to be and everything else. But then you get to Newcastle and you go like, oh, well, like they're kind of in the same boat, and it gets worse, right? They lose Callum Wilson. They have to make, I think, 3 substitutions pretty early, and then they of course get a red card, and then they wind up with another injury, and it's just like, well, that's a complete disaster for them. And still, we couldn't take advantage. But you mentioned the individual errors, and this goes back, like, this sends us back a couple of months probably, where we just say, like, we're not good enough to overcome the individual errors. We have to play kind of almost a perfect game for us to be able to succeed and get anything from, I think this is 5 losses in a row in the league now. Like, we have to play almost a perfect game, and we haven't done that. And today we made way too many mistakes, and their third is, I mean, I think it's a free kick from us that we wind up just needing to recycle the ball back. And I think when I was watching it, I went like, there's too much pressure for us to do this. Like, we made 2 passes that were, there's a little bit of pressure. The next pass, instead of relieving it, put that person on the ball under a little bit more pressure, and then a little bit more. And then McCarthy and Bertrand just, I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I watched that moment, and Redmond, it was initially was like, let's recycle this. Let's do what we do. The way we're set up is to recycle that ball, get another opportunity. It gets passed back, and I think it was either Stevens or Bednarek that then passed it to McCarthy, who's playing as a sweeper keeper. Now, we know, if you remember back to the Arsenal game last season, do not give any time, more time to Alex McCarthy than he needs with that ball. Just keep it simple for him. And I think he plays it, forward too much or back too much. But my girlfriend and I were discussing who was at fault there. And I was like, it's just all a bit crap. That's the problem. Yeah. It's all a bit, from Redmond recycling it rather than just pinging it in. Who's at fault there? It's hard to say. It's all a bit of a mistake in that one moment. And as Ralph said after the game, they had a few chances, but when you defend like that, it's hard to get points. And it's simple as that. We just had too many mistakes in that first half. Newcastle have not scored 3 goals in the first half in 5 years. Did they play better than us in that first half? No. Did they capitalize on opportunities? Yes. It's as simple as that. We just looked unconfident defensively. At least we didn't let a goal in the second half. But at that point, that's a weak joke for me. But I mean, I just felt like we threw the game away in the first half, and it was going to be a massive task for us, monumental, to get anything out of that game in the second half.
Yeah, well, you look at how much we've struggled to score goals, and now you say, okay, you're going to, against a team that's already going to sit deep, that's only going to sit deeper now. And then as they went down to 10 and then 9 men, just continuously deeper. And to be fair, I thought that, maybe I didn't think we handled it that poorly. I mean, we pulled off Stevens and put on an attacker, but maybe it just wasn't enough. But no, Newcastle only had 6 shots all day. Their XG is 0.91 and they managed 3 goals. So we didn't give up, very clear cut chances. We just we gifted them essentially the best chances they had all day. So it is frustrating for that to happen.
But is there any way, and I don't know if this is possible, we could get their defensive coach? I know this sounds a bit more like NFL now, but whoever has taught and trained Newcastle players, even though they had so many of their starting defenders out of that game, is there any way that we can just borrow someone from the Newcastle coaching staff to just teach us how? It was a masterclass on how to defend from Newcastle.
Yeah.
Darlow, which is an annoying name because it's Darlington, people up north call it Darlow. Their goalkeeper, time wasting to perfection, some amazing saves, and then defensively they don't muck about, just get it out, hoof it. It was. You've got to give Newcastle credit for the way that we huffed and puffed and just couldn't get a goal. And that's what I was watching. James Ward-Prowse, I know we haven't spoken about that free kick, but we will do, I'm sure. Just when it was 3-2, I was like, I just can't see us score. And once the sending off happened for Newcastle, I was like, I cannot see us getting a clear chance to bury this. And then once Ings had hit the post, I was like, his haircut's doing my nut now. And he can't score. I've had enough of this. I just couldn't see it. Couldn't see that goal. And then the offside again. Someone should find out how many times Che Adams has scored an offside goal that hasn't been given.
More than Shane Long, but only because Long doesn't finish with putting the ball in the net. I was going to say the halftime team talk there must have been something there because we came right out. I think Shelby had a chance right at the beginning of the second half. And then I thought that the ball was closer. Well, I thought the place the foul took place, or the location on the field where the foul took place, was closer to the edge of the 18-yard area than where the ball was actually placed for Ward-Prowse to hit it. And I kind of went that's too far. There's no way he beats anybody from there. That's an enormous distance. And then without any hesitation, just absolute perfection. That's, and I mean, that's not a very good, it's not a good chance. XG wise, that's not a very, you should not rely on that. But I don't really know what else to say other than he's really good at this.
Oh, he's exceptional. And he's kind of, when you get to the end of a match, the Saints, we've done it for years since fans know this. You're like, what saving grace is there? Okay, Minamino played brilliantly today. Well, he scored a fantastic goal. James Ward-Prowse is just ever present. We've got something to be proud of. How good is JWP at free kicks? 4 goals he scored, direct free kicks in the Premier League. Only David Beckham's got 5 in the 2000 season, and Laurent Robert, Newcastle's finest, in 2001, have scored more in a single campaign. So, James Ward-Prowse, at the end of this year, and don't forget, Saints were at top of the table at one point, could have another stat thrown in there for James Ward-Prowse to score maybe another free kick. He's just incredible. Even Alan Shearer said, JWP, ridiculous ability from set pieces. Everyone knows how good he is. When he stepped up, I thought, yeah, this is almost as good as a penalty. He's either going to hit the target 100% or it's going to go in the top corner. And he does it time and time again, but we cannot rely on James Ward-Prowse to be scoring the goals like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. I think that's part of what we got away with in the beginning of the season. We were gaining points maybe when we shouldn't have been, because we were just outperforming our XG. We were converting. We were getting. I don't want to say we're getting lucky, but we were converting those chances that you wouldn't normally expect to go in. And at some point, that dries up. At some point, you need a tap in, right? Like you just want some tap ins.
Yeah, I think actually you've really hit the nail on the head, because when Danny Ings, it's almost like he can score from anywhere. Mm-hmm. Southampton were like, wow, we all were. We were thinking, we've got a clinical striker here who can score from anywhere. And when that dries up, he had his injury, came back, incredible goal against Liverpool. That was his last goal he scored. You're just like, this guy cannot stop scoring. And then today, it's like, I'm not saying it's Southampton of old, but it's balanced itself out again. It's leveled out. It's like, hey, listen, we're not that good of a team. We are not going to score, more than 2 goals in a game. That's just not how we're built. And if Danny Ings isn't in form, then we are going to struggle. That's just the fact for us.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but true. And sometimes you need to face the tough questions and admit those things. Otherwise, you don't get any better. And I still believe that Ralph will find a way to do this, because he's improved us defensively, 9-0 aside. And I just think that there's that a lot of players have gotten better under Ralph, that the team has gotten better under Ralph. And, because teams have kind of figured out now how to adjust to our press and things like that, now there's a new problem for him to solve, and he will. And it may take time. It may take a couple of players. It may take some personnel changes. But I don't doubt that Ralph is the right guy for this. Although there was a part of me on Tuesday night that said maybe he walked away from this because this 9-0 isn't his fault, but yet now he's got 2 9-0s on his record, And maybe it was his fault. I don't know.
A lot of people are, just look on social media, a lot of Saints fans venting their frustration, which I totally get. It was a bit pathetic. Because Ralph said after the 9-0 against United, said, look, we have to stand up after that loss. At the end of 90 minutes, or 96 technically, you say, did Southampton stand up? Did we turn up today and stand up? And we didn't, because we didn't get any points. We didn't get the result we wanted. It's a better performance in terms of the goals that we let in against United. But then again, there was 9 men, and it just felt like we just didn't have another gear. Some people will say Gineppo was on the bench, potentially Teller. Go for it. Let's go for it, Ralph. And maybe that tactical indecision from him, and Lundaloo comes on for Stevens, and you go for it. But I don't know. I think he just looks like a bit of a broken man. If he's lost or doesn't know how to fix the problem, then we're all screwed as Saints fans. Yeah. Because people are talking about, what about Eddie Howe? What about Frank Lampard? No and no again.
Yeah.
It's Ralph's problem to fix. If he comes out in the next press conference and says, I've got it. Guys, believe in me. I've got this. Yeah. Then I think we can all just sit back and go, look, it's a poor time for us at the moment. 5 losses. That's the worst in the Premier League since 1998. I think that is. So Ralph's the man to fix it. But if he's lost his way, doesn't know how to fix it, then we are really up.
Yeah. A couple of things, and then we'll get on to some questions. People talking privately, not necessarily asking questions here, but talking about, is that it for Yankovic, or Yankovic, or however, I don't know.
AJ. It's easier if you just say it's AJ. Alexandro, AJ.
Yeah. By the way, when you called Almiron almond earlier, I think that's good, because he is soft, and almonds are a fairly soft nut. And I think that's,
Redmond, there's another problem for me, is Redmond, the amount of times the ball got rotated back over to Redmond to try and cross into the box, with all the amount of players that we've got to maybe put their head on it.
And all the time somehow, to do it.
And it just can't. Look, I really like Nathan. I actually did some quizzes earlier on back in December, for the Saints, for sure, one of their many sponsors. And it was really, really good fun to chat to Nathan Redmond and Ryan Bertrand. Really good guys, funny, down to earth. It was just, I was obviously buzzing as a Saints fan.
Sure.
I've got them on a Zoom call. And Redmond, I really like Nathan. But sometimes the frustrating part with him, he just doesn't take that player on. He just doesn't go forward. He doesn't run with the ball. And he cannot cross it consistently enough to clear the first man. And that was so frustrating today. But, I forgot my train of thought. I just thought I'd vent that out today. It's like you need someone out there on the wide. Bertrand, what a ball. It was a beautiful ball that cut through it, and it was just too short. It was too far for Adams to get onto. But you're like, that's the ball we need.
Right.
More of those. Whip it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Not lofted in there for everybody to take time to adjust their feet, but really put them under pressure, make people make mistakes, and hopefully whether we get a handball and they actually call it this time, I think there's something like that.
If the ball's recycled, you need someone out there on the wing to cross it in. I don't think Gineppo is a better crosser than Redmond. I just don't think we have that crosser on the right side. If Prowsey's not whipping it in, who else is, Kyle Walker-Peters?
Yeah.
He can occasionally whip that ball in. So I just don't know personally as a Saints fan, how do you unfix this problem? I just don't know how. And you did actually ask me about Jankovic, or however you pronounce the Swiss man's name. I think that once you put in a transfer request, once you make your debut like that, it's a tall order for him to come out and get another opportunity.
Yeah.
And apparently he apologized to the whole team in training.
As he should.
Yeah, without a doubt, he should definitely apologize. Hey guys, you know that if I was playing, you wouldn't have had to run around as much and defend. Sorry about that, guys. But do I think there's redemption? Do I think he should be given a chance? Yes, I do, because I think that's kind of the Southampton way. We need to give him the opportunity, and actually, we need him to play well. At least and sell him.
Yeah,
to a better,
it's tough to go like, hey, he's played 2 minutes and got a red card, and here, pay us money. I think we paid almost $2 million for him as well. But I mean, if anybody understands the value of second chances, it has to be Ralph Hasenhüttl, right? Like he's been now given a second chance, and so he's got to understand that, like, if Jankovic does it again, then that's on him. But I mean, he's what, 19? Like, you gotta give him a break, man.
He's a young player. He's made a mistake, but hey, a lot of players. I mentioned him earlier, David Beckham, that sending off against Argentina. He had that redemption against Greece. You're not the sum of one game. You're a multitude of different games, and he does deserve that second chance. In my opinion. But I think what everyone's going to talk about. You've mentioned it as well. The squad's thin. The loans that went out. I've thought about this a lot, actually, Matt. I thought about it. Why has Ralph let Vokins go and Valerie? And Long, I think we all understand why.
Yeah.
He's not going to get much game time. Minamino comes in. You're already stretched thin. And now, and then I go, I have to trust in Ralph that he doesn't rate Vokins.
Right.
That's evident, apart from cup games, because Bertrand's a better player. He thinks that as well with Matt Targett. He didn't rate Matt Targett over Bertrand.
Mm-hmm.
Said Bertie's the guy. Right back is Kyle Walker-Peters. No one's going to take his place. I don't know what happened with Valerie last season and all the goings on. And
Right.
But defensively, he's not that great.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, yes, he scored that worldie against United years back. But he doesn't rate him. Doesn't rate him as a defender. That's the end of that. So you have to trust he sent him out. But people are talking about, it's Gow out, it's this, it's that. He's not been given much, has he, Ralph, to really work with. I just don't understand it. He's not been given play or money. The Arsenal player that went out on loan, apparently we wouldn't pay the agent's fee. That's
nice.
why we didn't get him. Miles Maitland. But that's just, it's bizarre. No one's given Ralph any help, really.
Right.
In this transfer window, and he's got to fix the problems, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's the maker of these problems, so it's a sinking ship in many respects. But I hope that he's got, a little piece of cork that will fill the hole, and we can stop sinking.
Hopefully the cork fits the hole and it's not just going to come in gushing around it. I don't know. Ship analogies are not my thing.
Is Ralph Hasenhüttl our Noah? Is he going to build a boat big enough to save us all?
Well, one, it won't have to be very big, and two, it requires two at every position at that point, and we don't have that. So like, we're going to be in some trouble here. But let's answer some questions because we have a couple, and they kind of come. They're all over the place. So let's just have some fun here because what else are we doing? Kevin McGee, start off on a serious note. We'll just go. This is from the Patreon Discord channel. Patrons get priority for having their questions answered on the show each week. People can join by going to patreon.com/SFC Delivery. Links in the show notes, all that stuff. I also understand money's tight. Don't worry about it. But thank you to the people who do that. Helps the show continue. He says if Forrester has a good game on Thursday, should he be considered for the next league game? And then the second question, kind of relating to what you were talking about earlier with Redmond. How many years are we going to give Redmond before deciding he is essentially a poop emoji, especially when it comes to crossing the ball? I don't like to talk about players like that, but he wasn't very good today, and we were discussing during the show because Redmond went away. He came out to California, did some training one summer, came back, had his best season, and Kevin said, "Hey, any chance you can get Redmond back out there this summer and get him?" And I said, "Well, actually, the trainer actually moved back to England. He's now in Manchester, so you just got to send him up there because if you send him down to UCLA and ask me to do anything with him, it's not gonna help." So let's go with Forrester. I mean, what's your take on the goalkeeping situation? I think we have two goalkeepers who are decent. I think neither one of them are very good at playing with their feet. They both make me nervous when they have the ball not in their hands. And I don't know if that solves it, but McCarthy has let in, 12 goals in 2 games now? Like, it's not great.
No. Do you remember Artur Boruc? He tried to do a kind of Johan Cruyff turn at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Wowzers. Yeah. I feel like no goalkeeper we've had is really strong at playing it out. But what keepers are there? What keepers are going to want to come to Southampton that can play the ball out, that wouldn't go to, say, I don't know, a bigger top 4 side?
Yeah.
Maybe Harry Lewis is the answer. There's my real answer. Maybe he is good with his feet. A couple of times I sat next to him just behind the dugout, doing the match day hosting. A good guy. So maybe he's the answer. But in all honesty, Fraser Forster deserves that chance. It's hard, isn't it? If you take him out, if you take Alex McCarthy out of the lineup, you just crush him more.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're the reason we let 9 goals in, and you're the reason we played badly today. When it isn't really, it's a whole team thing.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you've got a very good goalkeeper in Fraser Forster. He's a great shot stopper. He's had 2 clean sheets this season. He's definitely going to play against Wolves.
Yes.
I think Ralph's going to have to change it up and play his what I call more of a cup side. Although he can't play both teams at left back, so I don't know what he's going to do. But play Forster, plays well. Maybe we have a really, really good improved performance against Wolves. Why not? If it's broke, fix it. If it's not, keep him in. It's a real tough one, isn't it? I feel like it's simplistic viewing if you think that just changing a goalkeeper is going to fix these problems.
Sure.
And it's not. But I think if someone plays well, keep them in the team. Redmond didn't play well, change it up.
Yeah. I think that's the spot where we can actually cycle players through. You got to prove it. And nobody's really taken, other than Stuart Armstrong, who was missing through injury today, nobody's really said, this is my spot. And just going back to the 9-0, only one of those goals was scored from outside the area. And that came off of a save, a half clearance from Stevens, and then a low strike into the corner. But all the rest of the goals were, right there. So that like you said, it's a whole team thing. And in terms of Redmond, you probably gotta move that on. The In That Number podcast, you can find them at Number Podcast on Twitter, says, have you managed to laugh off the previous result yet? You have a favorite joke about it? Honestly, I came home and just went like, I was going to start drinking, but it was Tuesday. And that's not great. And so I decided to exercise instead, and that was good. But I think I made all the jokes I have. I don't even know what they are because I'm not planning them, but like, I don't know. I can't say I'm over it yet, but I'm getting there.
I think people hurt more from this Newcastle result today
Yes.
than they do against Man United and that 9-0. It's easy when you can blame Mike Dean and go, he's an idiot, etc. That makes it easier. I'm still shell-shocked from it. I feel like we were almost as good as Anderlecht in 1956. They let 10 goals in.
Okay.
In a 10-0. So we're not far off Anderlecht. I think that's the best joke. And if anyone's going to stop the goal drought from Martial, it's going to be Saints. So, there's some positives to take from there.
Sure.
And we've helped the goal difference for United. I mean, are they funny stats? No, they're not. I think it's going to take a bit of time, a little bit of therapy, a bit of counselling. But we're all in this together, trying to find the right size cork, the hole in the Saints boat.
Somebody has mentioned that this show is feeling more like therapy, and probably they mean for me than for anybody else, because I just bring on people who will listen. Because the people over here, as I point to the rest of my house, they don't want to hear about this. Like when I told my students, because they don't really know me that well, because we're all on Zoom, and they said, "Are you in a good mood today?" And I said, "No, my team lost 9-0 yesterday. I'm not in a good mood." And they said, "You like Southampton?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's better than the last time it happened, because they were all in class and they were like, "Hey, Leicester scored again. Hey, Leicester scored again." And I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah. Why don't you have a slice of shut up?
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver on holiday. I remember those. I thought that someone had edited the WhatsApp picture. I thought they photoshopped it to put 9-0. And I was like, well, that's not very funny. And then it was real. And that took a bit of time. And then being top of the table, I had real pride wearing my Saints coat. I have like jogging pants I take out for my half hour, legally allowed, whatever, bit of exercise. And once that 9-0 happened against United, I was like, well, I'm going to have to put out another coat, aren't I? I don't know if I have, do you, Tom Deacon, have the strength to wear this coat and know that some person is going to comment on that coat? Yeah. At some point, you're going to get an odd look in the supermarket and someone's going to say it, and how are you going to react? And I genuinely don't know how I'm going to react. I might drop an F-bomb. Yeah. I might tell them to do one. I might start crying, and that's what I fear the most. Yeah. Is me crying in public about it, because I haven't been able to deal with it. I haven't been able to unpack it and say, how do I own it? How do we as Saints fans own this problem?
Yeah.
That's the difficult part, man.
Yeah. I have the goalkeeper shorts from a couple of years ago, and I run in them, but nobody around here notices what they are. So it's easy. I could go full kit and nobody would even notice, I don't think. So we have a question here from Chillin VB on Instagram. He says, I love Ralph's response in the press conference, and I do feel more optimistic after this result than the first 9-0. So this is going back to United. But what responsibility do you feel falls on his shoulders, and what responsibility falls on the players? There were many showings that just seemed heartless from me on Tuesday, and I really hope that they can bounce back. I would hate for that moment to be what defines the season. What bright spot, if any, can you take from Tuesday? So this
did not age well, this tweet.
Yeah, well, luckily it was a direct message, so nobody sees it but me. This was obviously sent before the Newcastle match, and I had read it, but I still struggled to really know what the positives were. I think that's probably the low point, right? There's very little chance we have a moment when you take into consideration the squad, the early sending off, the injuries, the late kind of drama with VAR and Mike Dean and all that stuff. Like there's so much that went against us that day that I can kind of say I understand it. I still don't, the going back to the racism thing, I'm not, that angers me more than anything else. And if we can take anything from that, it's that we should find whoever that is, and we should make sure that they know that that's not acceptable. And we should probably rally around Yankovic and the other young black players in the team and let them know that we're there for them, because by not doing anything, we do send a message, and that's not okay with me. But I think the bright spot for me, and I'm just gonna go with that, is Kane Ramsey actually standing up at 20 years old and saying what he said on Instagram, kind of combating that. And that shows me that Kane Ramsey's got something more to him than a lot of people do. And for me, that's good to know that he's in the squad and that he's around the team, and he's going to be around now because we don't have another right back. And I think for me, that's the positive. I don't know if that's really a fair one, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I think there's I like that. I think that's a great way of looking at it. No matter how much you're hurting as a Saints fan, and a poor result, and yes, twice now that we've lost 9-0. If anyone, no one does it better than Saints. When you want to lose 9-0, no one does it better than us. But the way that someone has dealt with that emotionally, put it out on Twitter, attacking Netflix. There's just no place for that. So we're all hurting, but to then use racism, just say what he said or message or he or whatever.
Yeah.
There's just no place for that. And I think, the bright spot is that this team is hurting. This team is low on confidence. But that is going to be, if anything's going to test us, it's this 9-0 and then this loss against Newcastle. There's two ways it's going to go. Either Ralph's going to fix it or we're going to implode. And we'll find out, won't we? And that's the thing. Like, it cannot get any worse, he says, than the 9-0. And this
that's me
loss
knocking
today
on wood.
where thank you. I've got a little table here.
Pump it up first.
Yeah, of course. That's what we call in industry a callback. Very much so think that this is the turning point. It can't get any worse than that. We were top of the table at one point this season. As a Saints fan, we know it's a roller coaster of emotions in a year, in a season. Hey, this is it. If this is as worse as it feels, there's only one way to go from here. That's the positive.
Absolutely. A couple more from Instagram. Saints Brass says, have you ever been given an item of clothing which you loved but had to return? I don't know if any of these are inside jokes or not, but
yep,
okay.
I know exactly what this one is.
All right, go for it, because I actually have some shorts that I got for Christmas that I still need to take back because my thighs don't fit, but that's okay.
Your thighs don't.
My thighs don't fit.
That's what I want on my gravestone. My thighs don't fit. I did thank you very much, Saints Brass. I did a promotion for the new kit launch with the two legends of Southampton, Matt Letice and Franny Benali. Franny Benali is doing incredible charity work out there. He always deserves a shout out. We got given some jackets to wear in the filming. We were at Romsey Town Football Club on the pitch, and I got given a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, red Saints jacket. The whole Under Armour thing, even sewn in TD. I was official. That's my name, initials, Tom Deacon. Sewn in, and we were doing the filming, and Matt Letice had his one, initials sewn in, Fanny had his, and we were in a porter cabin outside at various points while we were waiting to film some stuff. And I said, I wonder if we get to keep these jackets and that. And Matty was like, yeah, we'll get to keep these. And Fanny was like, yeah. And then the woman running the show said, by the way, we're going to need those, that top back, Tom. And I was like, all right. And then I said to Matt Letice and Franny in the porter cabin, I said, apparently we got to give the jackets back. So Franny and Matty just looked at me in that kind of way, ambassadors of the club, legends of the club, and just went, no, we don't, Tom. And just put their jacket in their bag. And I, for the first time in my life, I was just confident. I was like, if it's all right for Matty, and it's all right for Fanny. We were doing quizzes while we were waiting to film. I felt like I was with those guys. Got their WhatsApp numbers, whatever. I felt like part of the gang. And I took off my jacket and I was like, you're right, guys. And I remember stuffing it into my bag, zipping it up, going, I'm out of here. And I got as far as in my car, heading home, and I got a missed call, which was basically saying, hey, Tom, just curious, where's that? Did you leave the red jacket in the porter cabin? And I was like, no, I actually, I forgot to hand it in. They're like, oh yeah, if you could just hand it in to the stadium on your way home, that'd be great. And I remember calling up Matty and saying, did you have to give your jacket back? And all I got back in response was just laughing emoji. We didn't get asked for our jackets back. And I think what that does is just lets you know your level, where you're at. And I had to drive specifically to the stadium to hand that jacket back in, for them to unpick the stitching of the TD off. And I was just like, just let me have the flipping jacket.
Yeah.
Let me be cool. Let me be one of the guys for once.
Yeah, because then that serves as a, when you wear that jacket, you go, this is from when me and Franny Benali and Matt Letitia got to sit there and do this and do all this stuff. And instead, no. I wonder if is there anybody else at the club with the initials TD? They just hand it off? They already promised it somewhere? I can't.
No,
okay.
No, there wasn't. There isn't. I don't know. Has there ever been a TD player with initials? I can't think of any off the top of my head. And so there's absolutely no need to give that jacket back. And I think what it does, it just reminds you You're not a legend like Matt Letitia, Fanny Benali. Know your place, Tom Deacon. Even when I was doing match day hosting, know your place. You're in the dugout. Don't you dare talk to anyone. I watched the All or Nothing with Tottenham because in that match with Jose Mourinho, Harry Kane came off injured. He pulled a hamstring, I think. And I was in the dugout, like in the tunnel, and I thought, I'd only maybe a month or 2 months before worked with Harry Kane, and really nice guy. And I held the door open for him, and I was thinking, I'm going to be in All or Nothing in that sort of turning point. And it just serves to remind you, hey, life can be crap sometimes.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the jacket, and Harry Kane, when he went past me, it didn't get even aired. So listen, don't worry about it. So thank you very much, Saints Brass. Every time they remind me, it hurts a little bit more.
It's very nice of them. Well, somebody thinks you're a legend. Southampton page says cracking guess. That's not a question, just the facts. So, they like you. I like you. Otherwise you wouldn't be back on. Somebody else who likes you, you've been doing some cooking, says, Forzy Present says, what do you make of reports calling you the Ainsley Harriet of Instagram?
I like that. I'll take that. He was very famously in Ready Steady Cook. That's red peppers and green peppers and red tomatoes. I suddenly remembered Steve Forbes was on Tipping Point? And he was on a show, and one of his answers was he said blue peppers as his answer for a question, which blue peppers, that's not a thing. But anyway, I'm happy to pass the buck on the jokes on him on that. And Ainsley Harriet saw me do stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store and passed on to the security guy called Mark that I was really, really good. So, hey, I will take that. It's just a bit of fun. Steve Forbes and I doing a cook-along just breaks up the week. I like cooking. He likes cooking. So look, any compliment, I'll take it. Thank you.
I couldn't follow along on this one because I had to work, and you guys were doing it. But I did make the curry from last year. It was very good. I enjoyed it. I did mess up when adding I think the second time I made it, I didn't add the coconut milk at the right time, but that's okay. Still.
The thing is, Matt, like in anything, like Steve, I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, plays the straight guy, and I'm the joker, and I don't take it that seriously. If he says something that's mildly innuendo-like, I'll be straight on that to make a little joke. I think the last episode I said, get your gal out for the lads. A throwaway joke, get your gal out for the lads. It was fun. He likes to be organized and serious. That's where we're kind of yin and yang. Mm-hmm. So we don't take it seriously. He takes it more seriously than I do, but I respect it because he actually is, I'd say, a better chef. I just enjoy the social opportunity to chat to people while we're doing it.
My cousin, we're closest in age of any of my family members. He's taken to wearing his goggles when he cuts onions, which I think, I can't respect that. No, I can't respect that. If you did it as as a gag, I would be okay with it. But you're supposed to cry. It's supposed to hurt.
Yeah, hey, listen, if you want to eat meat, there's that kind of saying you should be able to go out there and hunt. And if you want an onion, you got to go through some tears.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, like anything, it's worth the pain and effort. Let's finish. Let's go with these two questions that are on transfers and looking forward, and then we'll finish off with some cooking, and then I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, if you can call it. If enjoyment is what's going to happen. So, Tom Mason, been on the show recently, says, "Do you feel a clear out is necessary in the summer? If so, who should be sold?" And I kind of chuckled when I read it because who's left? Who are we gonna clear out, right? But at the same time, there are still players out on loan that probably just need to maybe go. But I guess, is there a player that you're looking at that you probably say this is probably it for you?
Tough one, isn't it? Southampton FC updates. There's someone that pop up every now and again. We have too many passengers for the situation we are in. But like you say, who are you going to get rid of? Who's going to buy any of our players? It's hard enough to sell Wesley Hope. You know what I mean? To Lazio. Yeah. Do you want him? Oh no, he's had a terrible game. You won't even pay $5 million for him. Lamina, he's gone.
Yeah.
What's happening with Mo at Celtic? Where's he going? We've got players that just can't. No one's willing to pay for. Right. Even Celtic weren't willing to pay for Forster. Any of them that you don't think are going to cut the mustard. Out of all of them, I feel like one of the goalkeepers has got to go. at some point. Just economically, you can't pay Forster that much money and him not be the number one keeper.
Sure.
So I'd say Forster's got to go because of how much he's hemorrhaging us financially. You just have to look at the reports that came out. Yeah, one of the goalkeepers has got to go.
If you look at the players who were either signed or signed long-term extensions underneath the previous regime, the previous hierarchy, those are severely impacting what we can do now. And we criticized it then because you kind of look and went like, well, is that really the right move? But it's now that we're actually seeing Ralph is having to suffer through that, right? And so and some of those the guys, because they're not really good enough, they didn't deserve that money. And that probably sounds harsh, but we just the market was inflated and we paid too much and all that other stuff. But now nobody's going to take them from us for that money. So we have to either just eat the cost, which is tough to do when the owner is not shelling out money constantly. And we just have to kind of wait for that to pass. And it sucks, but it's kind of, I don't really know how else to put it.
Yeah. And then at the same time, people say maybe this time last year were saying Vestergaard, he's like an oil rig turning. We can't be keeping this guy. Get him out. And now we're saying this guy is so solid.
Can't wait to get him back in the lineup, right? I need him back.
Yeah, I agree that Buffal, it was time for Buffal to move on. You know, like, what would we do if Danny Ings goes? What are we realistically going to do with exactly dog barking in the background? Yeah, what if Danny Ings goes? You know, how do
That's
we
the equivalent of all of
him?
us on Twitter after the game.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one. Like as a business, they have to be economical, and yet at the same time, you cannot spend that much money on Salisu and him not be ready to play. That's a wasted. And I might eat my words in 2 years' time when we're selling him on, I don't know, to Barcelona or Real Madrid for 30 million. Fine. But if he is not the answer now, why spend that money when we could have had someone else in who is let's play now, this guy's ready. And yet we have to understand as Saints fans where we're at. We're getting sloppy seconds from Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Minamino, we don't want him. Do you want him? All right, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We are that team that either produces youngsters that we end up having to let go, say potentially Josh Sims at some point that no one will pay money for. Harrison Reed, we moved on to Fulham. Matt Targett to Villa. Or we have players that we think are going to be gems that no one wants to pay for other than us. So that's where we're at. We have to understand where we're at. If we can get some big wages off the books, maybe we can bring in some sloppy seconds that will be better.
Well, we've seen the conveyor belt go from Celtic to us to either Spurs or Liverpool, and then we've seen it come back the other way now on the loan system, and then we've actually loaned several players to Celtic. Liverpool now loaning players to us. Now we bought Danny Ings and all this stuff, so that's there. It's not necessarily great, but it's there. One question on Gareth Bale says, with limited success at Spurs currently, do you think a return to Saints is possible? I'm going to say no. I don't really know. I can't see that happening. Although his facial expression when he was walking away from Jose Mourinho the other night was great. There's no way you can live that one down. That's going to cause some. I want to see the all or nothing where Jose addresses that. But other than that, I don't think it's happening.
No, I don't think so either. And at the same time, would we want someone I'm not saying he's a phenomenal talent when he's on form.
Sure.
But do we want someone like that? It's bad enough since Danny Ings has been talked about leaving. Our results have been pretty whack. It's been like this. Oh no, what's happening? We're a bit unsettled. We don't need more players or anything unsettling this shaky team at the moment. We just don't need that extra attention.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think we need the added pressure. I'm gonna change up this last question just a little bit, just to kind of bring it all back together. So Al Capone 156 sends us two questions related to cooking, and I'm going to say, if you could cook a meal for 9 people at Southampton, 9, so coaching staff, presenting staff, players, 9 people, who's at the table, and what are you making?
Wow, and wow again. Okay, 9 people. I feel like I'd have the jokers there. Ryan Bertrand was good fun. So was Nathan Redmond. Danny Ings is hilarious. Che Adams was good fun. We did a quiz, which will never be aired, unfortunately, because the internet was really bad. I would just have jokers there. I couldn't not have Steve Forbes. Kenzie would be good value as well.
It's 5 and 6.
Oh, you're counting. Damn. I would also Stuart Armstrong. I did an advert with Stuart Armstrong, Angus Gunn, James Ward-Prowse, and Danny Ings last season. And the way they rip on Stuart Armstrong, they're all doing their Scottish impression. Ooh, Stuart! Like, that will never see the light of day. But very funny. Stuart Armstrong is a really good laugh. And I'll throw in James Ward-Prowse. I wouldn't throw in Angus Gunn. He was miserable. And just talked about Norwich the whole time.
Do I have to cut that out? Can I leave that in?
No, leave it in. I don't care. And I won't get booked back again with him. And he was just a bit miserable, and everyone knew.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to it, just get inside. He's got reach on you, but that's it. You got him.
Oh, he won't be at Saints anymore. We all know that. And I think how many is that? Is that
That's 8?
And I'd have Ralph there. But then would Ralph ruin the vibe? Or, because I think Ralph, on good form, is a real joker. I like his sense of humor. He's great. But is he going to be like the school teacher when he's there, everyone's on edge? Actually, do you know what? I'd have name escapes me. Do you know what? No, I will. I'll have Ralph. Ralph there.
All right.
Fine.
All right. There's your 9. I like it. All right. What are you making him?
Because you live too far away, Matt. You live too far away there. Please.
It's okay.
It's weird. And what would I serve up? Something edible, hopefully. Maybe I'd make fresh homemade tortellini like I did the other night on the trip along. But I will do a lot more prep rather than try and do it live, and it just goes on forever to roll out the pasta. So fresh tortellini. Football players eat pasta, right? So it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like it. Well, and I just want to say thank you for doing this. Thanks for making us laugh. If people want to follow along with Cook Along with Steve and Tom, they just have to follow you along on Instagram. It is a good time. I am not a chef, but there is cooking happening right now in the kitchen. What are you making? I'm making pretzel bites for the Super Bowl, which they're good. They're very good. The neighbor down the street, very nice German lady, just keeps giving us dough, and we have to do stuff with it. So it's quite nice.
And that's not money. You mean actual dough?
No, actual dough. Yes.
Okay. Damn.
Like
that's annoying.
Yeah. You said it, not me. And I'm not going to repeat it because I'll get hit because she's a very nice German lady, but that still makes her mean. And so, well, and so, I mean, life is good. I enjoy talking to you, but people can follow along on Instagram, and links to your Twitter and everything are there. You're presenting F1 esports that's going to run, tomorrow, which is after we're talking. And then also the next couple of, there are times in the future, so they can look out for that. And I got about probably 30 seconds before the mixer starts. So thanks a lot, man.
Well, listen, thank you very much. And you know what? If anyone wants to reach out, hey, we're all in this together as Saints fans. We're one family. So, yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm going to sit right here and yell at them the same way I was yelling at the TV by just yelling to put it in the mixer as time winds down. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Take care, guys.
That does it for this week's episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Special thanks goes out to this week's guest, Tom Deacon. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the show notes. If you don't follow him already, you should, because even if Saints aren't doing well, he's still a lot of fun to listen to, a lot of fun to be around, at least virtually, because we can't actually see people right now. So, yeah. But anyway, thank you to Tom for putting up with the games we had to talk about, the matches we had to talk about, because they weren't that great, and then the tangents I wanted to go down because I didn't want to talk about the matches because they weren't that great. So just thanks for being a real trooper and laughing at my jokes even though they aren't funny. Special thanks also goes out to all of you for listening. I just really appreciate it. So just want to say thank you. And also to the partners of the show, the Southampton page on Twitter. You should follow them to keep you up to date with everything going on around the club. And also the Saints Archive, where you can get in touch with the history, the culture of the club. You join the Facebook group, you could find yourself on a Friday night, messaging back and forth, chatting with a former Saints player. It is a lot of fun. Just just watch how much you drink and what you say, because, they're really nice. So just be nice. Be nice. The logo for the show is done by Matt Beeling of the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. All music comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the end of show credits that you listen to right now is Aim is True by Paddington Bear. If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. Share it with a friend. All of that stuff helps very much. If you're really enjoying it, patreon.com/SFC Delivery. And you can help make sure that this thing keeps going. All right, we'll be back next week. And until then, remember that together, we march on.